Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here again, digging through sources, looking for those uh, really valuable nuggets of knowledge, things that help you make sense of, well, everything going on.
It's good to be back.
So today, we're setting course for something pretty special. It's Star Trek Day.
Engage.
Exactly. And look, this isn't just for the diehard Trekkies, though hello to you all. It's really a chance to celebrate something that, for a lot of people, became much more than just a TV show.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking Star Trek, the next generation specifically, right?
Right. TNG. Because it wasn't just about the cool tech or the aliens, was it? It felt deeper.
Definitely deeper. It became this mirror almost, holding up questions about who we are, how we lead, how we connect, or fail to connect.
Yeah. And, on the surface, sure, you had the phasers, the warp drive, all that cool sci-fi stuff, which was great.
Loved it. Still do.
But its real power, the reason we're still talking about it now, it lies somewhere else. It's in those philosophical questions, those tough ethical spots they put the characters in.
It really is. For so many people, TNG wasn't just entertainment. It was almost like a foundational text, a way to think through their own values, society, aspirations, all of it.
And speaking of unique ways to look at things, our deep dive today is really sparked by the insights of Lóng Tíng.
Ah, yes. His perspective is fascinating.
Isn't it? He's an author, a coach, a mentor, CEO of Lóng Tíng Enterprises. And his whole focus, it seems, is on building bridges, connecting different viewpoints.
He really brings something different to the table. His thinking is so clearly rooted in East Asian traditions, ancient wisdom.
But he connects it directly to now, to our global world.
Exactly. He's constantly weaving those threads together, East and West tradition and, what's happening right now, modernity.
He uses this image I love, like a bamboo path leading toward a quiet mountain temple.
That's beautiful. And it gives us such a fresh lens to look back at Star Trek, doesn't it? To see maybe familiar things in a new light.
Completely new layers of meaning, I think. So, okay, our mission for this deep dive, let's lay it out. We're exploring how TNG, the characters, the stories, the whole universe, Gene Roddenberry and the team built how it works as a teacher of leadership, obviously, but also philosophy. And maybe most importantly, that vital skill of building bridges across cultures, ideas, even, across the stars.
And let's be clear, this isn't just us geeking out over a TV show, right? So, okay, maybe a little bit of that.
Just a little. It's allowed on Star Trek Day.
But the real goal is to pull out those nuggets of knowledge, as you said, things that are actually really relevant today, especially when we think about intercultural understanding or ethical leadership, big challenges we're all facing.
We're looking for wisdom that actually jumps off the screen, stuff that applies to how we navigate our own lives.
Right, because it's there.
Exactly. And that's the question we'll keep coming back to. What does this actually mean for you listening right now?
Yeah.
How can you take these lessons from the Enterprise and, use them in your work, your life, your own attempts to connect with people who are different?
Hopefully you'll leave feeling not just like you learned something cool about Star Trek, but maybe inspired to build a few more bridges yourself.
That's the hope. So where do we start? It has to be Picard, doesn't it?
It almost has to be. Captain Jean-Luc Picard. His image is just iconic.
And Lóng Tíng goes right there, too. He says, when I think of Star Trek, the first I have in my mind is Star Trek, the next generation. Not the effects, not the technology, but the way it felt.
The way it felt.
That's powerful.
And he says that feeling, that whole vibe of the show is totally captured by Picard.
It makes perfect sense. Because Picard's leadership wasn't the typical, swashbuckling captain type. Lóng Tíng describes it so well. The way Picard sat in that chair, calm but firm, listening more than talking. That image, it's so clear in my head right now. Just sitting there, observing, thinking.
Right. That quiet strength, it wasn't about loud commands or, being aggressive. It was about considered action, thoughtful questions, and this incredible, almost unnatural patience sometimes.
Can you think of an example, like where that really shines?
Oh, wow. So many. But maybe The Survivors with Kevin Uxbridge, the Dowd.
Oh, yeah. The being who wiped out a whole species out of grief. Intense.
Incredibly intense. And Picard faced this being with immense power. He didn't go in phasers blazing. He chose empathy. He chose understanding, patience. He let the situation unfold, let the truth reveal itself, instead of just imposing his will. That was classic Picard.
That's such a key difference, isn't it? It shows that real leadership, maybe the best kind, isn't about shouting the loudest or, dominating every conversation.
Not at all. It's fundamentally about building those connections, understanding people, having the guts, frankly, to choose dialogue, even when just giving an order or getting confrontational seems easier.
It's that conscious choice. Build a bridge with words or draw a line in the sand.
Exactly. And the why behind that is so important. Why does that work? Because it builds trust. Deep trust.
Right, if your leader actually listens first.
It signals respect, doesn't it? It creates this environment where people feel safe sharing ideas, even dissenting opinions, which, on a starship facing the unknown every week, is not just nice, it's critical for survival.
Yeah, you need all those different perspectives. You can't afford not to hear them.
It shifts the whole dynamic from just, top-down command to something more collaborative, more resilient.
It really makes you stop and think about your own style, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, how often, maybe in a meeting or even just talking with family, do we jump straight to telling instead of asking?
Or feel like we have to have the loudest voice to be heard.
Right. So what would it actually mean for you, listening now, to consciously try to listen more than you talk? To focus on understanding first, before asserting your view? It's a challenge.
A big one, but potentially really rewarding.
And Picard wasn't just a good listener, was he? Lóng Tíng calls him a philosopher in uniform.
I love that description.
Someone who carried questions as carefully as commands. That suggests he wasn't afraid of not knowing, right? He saw questions as tools, as important as orders.
And the amazing thing is, these weren't just abstract ideas for him. He lived them. He put philosophy into practice on the bridge every single day. You can really see like 3 core pillars in his approach.
Okay, what are they?
Well, first, there's his respect for diversity as a necessity. For Picard, having different species, different viewpoints on the crew wasn't just, ticking a box for Starfleet. It was fundamental to how they functioned.
Because they needed those different angles.
Exactly. Think about it. Data's logic, Worf's Klingon perspective, Troy's empathy. Picard didn't just tolerate those differences. He actively sought them out. He knew he needed that full spectrum to deal with whatever the galaxy threw at them.
Makes sense. Okay, what's the second pillar?
That flows right from the first. Dialogue before power. Always. He would exhaust every possibility for communication, for understanding, before even thinking about raising shields or using force.
Yeah, you see that again and again, meeting new species, even dealing with enemies like the Romulans or the Cardassians sometimes. He'd try to talk first.
Hours, sometimes days, spent just trying to understand their motives, their culture, their needs. It's this deep belief that real strength comes from connection, not just from having bigger weapons.
Okay, so diversity as necessity. Dialogue before power. What's the third?
Vision over fear. Picard always kept his eye on the bigger picture, on the guiding principles of the Federation: exploration, peace, respect. Even when things got incredibly scary, when the immediate threat made it tempting to react out of fear.
He held the line, like with the Prime Directive sometimes, even when it was unpopular.
Exactly. He resisted that short-sighted, fear-driven response. He thought about the long-term consequences, the ethical implications, not just the panic of the moment.
When you lay it out like that, it's a really profound model of leadership. And you see how those principles let him navigate situations that were just impossibly gray. No easy answers.
Making decisions about the fate of whole civilizations sometimes, grappling with moral dilemmas that would break most people.
And holding on to those values kept the Federation's ideals intact, but also his own integrity, didn't it?
Absolutely, and that's the fascinating part. These aren't just philosophical talking points. They were his operational strategy. They defined how he commanded the ship.
So how might that look today, if a leader, say in global politics, really embodied that?
Well, instead of instant escalation or drawing hard lines, maybe you'd see a relentless focus on dialogue first, really trying to understand the history, the different perspectives, holding on to a vision of peace, even when it seems impossible.
Or in business, maybe less about just winning a negotiation at all costs.
And more about finding solutions that work for everyone long term. Building partnerships, not just making deals, trusting that shared value is more sustainable.
Even on a team level, creating a space where people can disagree, where those different views are seen as assets to find a better solution, not problems to be squashed.
It's a huge contrast to that power first, my way or the highway approach, and arguably much more effective in the long run.
Okay, let's zoom in on some specific episodes now. Because TNG was brilliant at using sci-fi to tell these, like, philosophical parables.
Oh, definitely. Little thought experiments wrapped in adventure.
And the one that jumps out immediately when we talk about communication, especially across big divides, has to be Darmok.
Ah, Darmok. Shaka, when the walls fell.
Exactly. Lóng Tíng nails it. Two captains, stranded, unable to speak the same language. And yet, through story, through metaphor, they found a way.
It's such a brilliant concept. The Temerians communicating only through metaphor, referencing their myths and history. No direct words for hello or danger.
Just Temba, his arms wide for giving, or Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra for cooperation.
Yeah. Right. And Picard's struggle, his dawning realization of how their language worked, it's a masterclass in trying to understand the truly alien.
But it's not just about aliens, is it? That's what Lóng Tíng points out. That was not just a tale about aliens. That was us. How often do we meet someone whose words we don't understand, whose culture feels strange, whose perspective seems unreachable? It's that feeling of hitting a wall.
And Darmok shows us the way through isn't always direct translation. It's about finding that common ground, maybe through shared stories or analogies, or even just shared actions like Picard and Dathan fighting that beast together.
Sharing the fire.
Exactly. Those simple shared experiences started to build a bridge where language alone failed. Makes you ask, doesn't it? What are the metaphors we need to share in our own lives? What common stories or experiences can connect us when direct words aren't enough?
That's a really powerful question. And thinking about Lóng Tíng's work, bridging East and West or different fields, Darmok feels like required viewing.
It really does.
Yeah.
It teaches that incredible patience needed to learn someone else's language of thought. Not just their words, but their whole way of seeing things.
You have to be willing to sit with the confusion, right?
Yeah.
To listen, observe, try, maybe fail, try again,
Yeah.
until that understanding starts to glimmer.
It's about learning the narratives that shape how someone thinks. That takes real effort, real empathy.
Okay, so from communication challenges to a different kind of danger, the danger within. Let's talk about the drumhead.
Yeah. That one feels uncomfortably relevant sometimes.
Doesn't it? Picard's quiet stand against that investigation spiraling into paranoia. Lóng Tíng highlights how it still speaks to us today.
Because it shows just how easily fear and suspicion can take root and spread, even in a place like the Federation built on high ideals.
Yeah.
A small incident, a security breach, suddenly blows up into this witch hunt.
Led by Admiral Sadie, who starts out seeming reasonable.
Exactly. She's respected, seems principled, but gets consumed by zealotry. And you see how fear, wrapped in the language of security and patriotism, we must be vigilant, can warp judgment and trample rights.
And Picard's resistance. It's not loud or flashy. That's what Lóng Tíng calls his quiet resistance.
Right. He doesn't just yell back. He uses reason. He calmly insists on due process, on evidence, on critical thinking, even when everyone around him is getting swept up in the emotion. He reminds them of the very principles they're supposed to uphold.
He becomes the anchor to their values when the storm hits.
And the relevance today.
Wow.
Lóng Tíng says, mistrust so often spreads faster than trust. We see it online, in politics, sometimes even in our workplaces.
That drumhead mentality where accusations fly and judgment comes before facts.
It really forces the question, how do we push back against that? How do we cultivate trust and critical thinking when everything seems geared towards suspicion and instant reaction? It takes that Picard-like courage sometimes to stand for due process, even when it's unpopular.
Such a vital lesson. Okay, let's shift gears emotionally now to an episode that just hits differently, the inner light.
Yay!
The flute.
The flute. That moment where Picard lives an entire other life. Gone in minutes.
It's unforgettable. He gets zapped by this probe, and suddenly he's Kamen on this planet Catan, which is dying. But he doesn't know that at first. He just lives.
He gets married, has kids, becomes part of the community, learns music.
All of it. Decades compressed into minutes of ship time. And the core of that experience, as Lóng Tíng points out, is so fundamentally human. Music, family, love, memory, the things that give life meaning.
And the message Lóng Tíng draws from it is beautiful. Leadership is not just about decisions. It is about being human.
That experience changes Picard profoundly, doesn't it? It gives him this depth of empathy, this understanding of loss and connection that maybe even exploring the galaxy couldn't provide in the same way. He carries Kamen's life, that lost world, inside him.
It fundamentally alters his perspective. And the implication for any leader is huge. Stay connected to your humanity. Understand the lives of the people you lead. Recognize that your own experiences, the good, the bad, the heartbreaking, they shape you. And that's okay. That's a strength.
It's about that emotional intelligence, isn't it? Leading not just with your head, but with your whole self.
Exactly. A leader who understands love, loss, family, struggle. They're better equipped to connect with and respond to the complex realities of the people around them. It's not a weakness. It's a source of wisdom.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How does your own life story, all those personal moments, inform how you interact with people? Do you bring that humanity into your leadership, or do you try to keep it separate?
The inner light urges us to integrate it, to see our full selves as our strength.
Which brings us nicely to the ship itself, the Enterprise.
Yeah.
More than just metal and circuits.
Oh, much more. Ting calls it a bridge, a gathering of difference.
I love that, because look at who was on that bridge. Humans, Klingons, androids, betazoids.
People from vastly different cultures, with different ways of thinking, different emotional landscapes, even different biologies. And yeah, as Ting says, it wasn't always smooth sailing. Voices clashed, tempers flared, misunderstandings cut deep.
Of course. How could they not, with that mix?
But, and this is the crucial point, together, they navigated the unknown. They made it work. More than work, they excelled. Ting thinks this might be the most relevant lesson for us right now.
Because if they could build a functional, effective team across those massive divides,
then what does that say about our own potential? To bridge the gaps between nations, industries, cultures, East and West. It suggests these barriers we perceive aren't actually insurmountable.
if we approach them with that same spirit, maybe. Curiosity, respect, a shared goal.
Seeing difference not as a problem, but as a resource, a strength.
And you saw that play out constantly, didn't you? How many times did Data's logic save them when human emotion was clouding things? Or Worf's warrior sense see a threat others missed?
Or Troy's empathy unlock a diplomatic stalemate. Or Geordi's unique engineering perspective fix an impossible problem.
Each difference was a vital piece of the puzzle.
Which really poses the question for us, doesn't it? Are we really tapping into the power of diversity in our own teams, our own communities? Or are we kind of sticking to what's comfortable, valuing sameness over the richness that difference brings?
Food for thought.
Yeah.
Okay, we can't talk about TNG challenges without talking about the ultimate agent of chaos, Q.
Q. Oh, yes. Our favorite omnipotent pain in the neck.
Ting calls him the chaotic trickster, the eternal judge, which feels about right.
Absolutely. This being of near infinite power just shows up whenever he feels like it, mostly to mess with Picard and the crew. To mock them, test them, put them in these impossible situations no training could ever prepare them for.
Like the very first episode, right? Putting humanity on trial. Or the last one, testing Picard across time itself.
He was constantly challenging humanity's right to exist, to explore, the ultimate cosmic stress test.
But here's where Ting flips the script. He says, Q was not the enemy. He was the trial.
That changes how you see him, doesn't it?
Completely. He put humanity itself on the stand, asking again and again,
Yeah.
Are you worthy? He wasn't just a bad guy. He was a catalyst, a necessary challenge.
And the implication for leadership that Ting draws from that was powerful. Leadership itself is always on trial.
Wow.
Every choice, every silence, every compromise judged not by history alone, but by those around us. It speaks to that constant pressure that accountability leaders feel. Every move is watched, evaluated. You're always being tested.
And Q is fascinating because he's such a paradox, isn't he? As Ting notes, for all his arrogance, Q is curious.
He kept coming back. He made fun of humans, but he seemed genuinely interested in what they'd do next. It was this weird mix, as Ting puts it. Power meeting limitation. Chaos meeting order.
And Ting connects that dynamic to cultural exchange.
Yes. He says, that too is cultural exchange. Often uncomfortable, often unsettling, but necessary. That friction when vastly different worldviews collide. It's awkward, it can be jarring, but maybe it's essential for growth.
That's a really interesting take, that the discomfort isn't something to avoid, necessarily.
Ting argues exactly that. Without those who challenge us, without the cultures that confuse us, without the crises that shake us, our leadership would remain fragile. Q, in all his annoying glory, actually made Picard and humanity stronger. He stress-tested their principles.
So the chaos wasn't the enemy of leadership.
Sometimes it is the teacher. That's Long Ling Ting's key takeaway about Q. It completely upends our usual thinking about leadership needing stability and control above all else.
Maybe real growth only happens when things get shaken up.
It seems that way sometimes, doesn't it? That disruption, that discomfort, forces us to adapt, to innovate, to really examine what we stand for. Q forced that constantly.
It makes you reflect, personally. Have there been chaotic times or really difficult people or situations in your life that actually, looking back, made you stronger?
Your own personal Q encounter, maybe? Forcing growth you didn't ask for, but needed.
It's a powerful frame. Okay, as we start to bring this all together, Lóng Tíng offers this really beautiful, almost philosophical grace note. He says, "The stars, for me, were never the real destination. They are mirrors, not endings. They ask us who we want to become while we travel."
And as he says, there's something deeply Asian in that thought. It echoes so many wisdom traditions.
Like Taoism, where the path is more important than the destination.
Exactly. The focus is on the journey, the process, the how of traveling, not just getting somewhere, aligning with the flow, embracing the process of becoming.
And Confucianism, too, right? Valuing harmony over just winning. Thinking about the relationships you build, the ethics you follow along the way.
How you conduct yourself on the journey matters as much, if not more, than reaching the end goal. It's about cultivating yourself and your community through the process.
And Buddhism, certainly. The path is the practice. The inward exploration is key.
Right. So when Lóng Tíng brings this together with Star Trek, it's profound. Star Trek, though wrapped in science fiction, whispers the same lesson. Exploration is not only outward, it is inward.
The whole grand adventure across the galaxy is also a journey of self-discovery, of moral growth.
It completely reframes the purpose, doesn't it? It's not just about finding new planets or new life. It's about what we become in the process, the kind of humanity we choose to embody while we're out there among the stars or just, living our lives here.
The external quest fuels the internal one.
Beautifully put.
And this isn't just theory for Lóng Tíng. He lives this. He says, as Lóng Tíng, and with my work at Lóng Tíng Enterprises, I try to carry that same spirit forward.
He's actively applying these ideas, isn't he? Weaving those connections across industries, cultures, and generations, trying to blend that ancient wisdom from the East with modern innovation.
Building those bridges between East and West, not only in theory, but in practice. That's the key part, making it real.
And how does that look on the ground? He talks about fostering conversations in communities and the willingness to sit at the same table, even when we do not yet understand each other.
That sounds like Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra, doesn't it? Sitting down together even when it's hard.
It's that active commitment, recognizing that the awkwardness, the misunderstanding, it's not a failure point. It's the starting point for building a real connection. You have to create the space for that difficult dialogue to happen.
So, for Lóng Tíng, the deeper legacy of Star Trek, it isn't really the technology or the adventure in itself.
No. He concludes, the true light comes from the bridges we dare to build. That's the real frontier, our ability to connect, to understand, to move forward together despite our differences.
Wow, what a way to tie it all together. From Picard's chair to Q's chaos to the quiet wisdom of the East, it really offers a powerful way to think about TNG's enduring impact.
It really does. And that final thought from Lóng Tíng sums it up so well. Leadership is not conquest. Leadership is conversation.
That really shifts the focus, doesn't it? Away from power over, towards power with, collaboration, understanding, dialogue as the core functions.
It champions empathy, connection, seeing the strength in the shared journey, not just the individual win.
So the challenge goes out to you, listening now. If we really try to listen more, question more, reach across those gaps, big or small,
then maybe, just maybe, we find that prosperity isn't solitary. It's something we build together. It's about applying these ideas, building your own bridges in your own way every day.
Exactly.
And perhaps we can leave you with this final thought to reflect on, something to carry with you. May leadership always remain an act of humanity.
What does it really mean in your life, your work, your interactions today? What kind of humanity will you bring to the table?
Something to ponder.
Live long and prosper.